The day Aaron Cole quit his job, the rain came down like the city itself was grieving with him, heavy and relentless, soaking through his thin jacket as he stood outside the glass building that had taken so much from him and given so little back. He didn't feel brave or relieved or proud. He felt hollow. A single father with a 7-year-old daughter waiting at home, no savings to speak of, and a future that suddenly looked terrifyingly blank. Aaron walked away from everything he thought was stable because staying had started to cost him the one thing that mattered most: his child. Sometimes the most painful decisions are the ones that save us, even when they don't feel like it at the time. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet acts of humanity that can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. Aaron had never imagined his life would turn out this way. Once he had been full of plans, ambition burning bright, working long hours at a fast-growing tech company led by a powerful and distant CEO named Daniel Whitmore. Aaron was good at his job, reliable, the kind of employee managers leaned on without thinking twice. Then life shifted overnight when his wife passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with their daughter Lily and a grief so deep it rewired everything inside him. Mornings became battles, nights became lonely marathons of laundry, homework, and quiet tears after Lily fell asleep. He tried to keep up at work, tried to pretend he was still the same man, but the cracks showed. Late arrivals after school drop-offs, missed meetings because Lily had fevers or nightmares, exhaustion that no amount of coffee could fix. The company valued productivity, not context, and sympathy faded quickly. Warnings came, polite at first, then sharp. Aaron pushed himself harder, cutting sleep, skipping meals, promising himself it was temporary. But Lily started to notice. She noticed when he forgot to smile. She noticed when he stared at his phone instead of listening to her stories. She noticed when he came home late again, eyes dull, shoulders slumped, carrying stress like a physical weight. One night after a particularly brutal day, she fell asleep on the couch waiting for him, clutching a drawing of the two of them holding hands. That image broke something inside him. The next morning, shaking but certain, Aaron handed in his resignation. No backup plan, no safety net, just the desperate need to choose his daughter over a job that no longer saw him as human. The days that followed were some of the hardest of his life. Bills stacked up on the kitchen table like quiet threats. The fridge emptied faster than he expected. Aaron took on small freelance tasks at night while Lily slept, his laptop balanced on the same table where she did her homework. He sold his watch, then his old guitar, then the extra TV. Pride dissolved quickly when survival was on the line. Yet, despite the fear, there was a strange peace in the mornings. He walked Lily to school. He packed her lunches with notes inside. He was present. And that, he told himself, had to count for something. What Aaron didn't know was that someone had been watching from a distance. Daniel Whitmore, the CEO, was not the cold, unreachable figure everyone assumed. He was a man shaped by his own quiet losses, a man who read exit interviews personally, even when no one knew it. Aaron's resignation letter hadn't been dramatic or angry. It was honest. It spoke about being a single father, about trying and failing to balance impossible expectations, about choosing family because there was no one else to do it. Daniel read it late one night in his office, long after the building had emptied. For the first time in a long while, he didn't move on to the next file. He leaned back and stared at the ceiling, memories surfacing of his own childhood, of a mother who worked herself sick, of dinners eaten alone. Still, weeks passed. Aaron struggled quietly, assuming the chapter was closed. Then, one ordinary afternoon, there was a knock at the door of his small rented house. Aaron wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened it, his breath caught. Standing there, out of place in the narrow street, was Daniel Whitmore himself, dressed simply, no entourage, no assistants, rain dampening the shoulders of his coat just like it had on the day Aaron quit. For a moment, Aaron thought exhaustion was finally playing tricks on him. Daniel didn't come with apologies wrapped in corporate language. He didn't come to defend policies or explain numbers. He came because something about Aaron's letter had stayed with him, because it had forced him to confront what his company had become. He had asked around quietly, learned about Lily, about the late nights, about the way Aaron had never complained until he broke. Standing in that modest doorway, seeing the worn shoes by the mat, the school backpack hanging on a hook, the evidence of a life held together by effort and love, Daniel understood more than any report could have taught him. What followed wasn't a miracle in the loud, cinematic sense. It was something better. Daniel acknowledged the failure, not just toward Aaron, but toward so many employees whose lives existed beyond spreadsheets. He didn't offer charity. He offered respect. He offered Aaron his job back, redesigned around flexibility, remote work, and dignity. He offered healthcare that actually supported families, and a role that valued Aaron's experience instead of punishing his humanity. More than that, he committed to changing company policies, using Aaron's story as the quiet catalyst for a wider shift that would help countless others who were silently drowning. Aaron didn't answer immediately. Trust is hard when you've been worn down. But when he looked at Lily, peeking from behind the hallway wall with curious eyes, hope flickering where fear had lived for weeks, he felt something open in his chest. This wasn't just about employment. It was about being seen. About knowing that choosing his child hadn't made him disposable. It had made him human. Life didn't become perfect overnight. Healing rarely works that way. But slowly, steadily, things changed. Aaron returned to work on his terms, present for school pickups and bedtime stories. The bills stopped feeling like enemies. Lily laughed more. The house felt warmer, fuller. And Daniel, true to his word, began reshaping the culture of his company, not with grand speeches, but with policies rooted in empathy, with leaders trained to ask about people, not just performance. Aaron never became famous. His story never went viral inside the company. But its impact rippled quietly, touching lives he would never meet. Near the end of his hardest year, Aaron stood in the school auditorium watching Lily perform in a small play, her smile bright under the stage lights as she scanned the crowd and found him. In that moment, every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every tear felt worth it. He understood then that quitting his job hadn't been the end of his story. It had been the beginning of a different kind of success, one measured not in titles or salaries, but in presence, integrity, and love. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you that compassion still matters in a world that often forgets it, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your support helps keep stories like this alive and reaching the people who need them most. And before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below and tell us who this story reminded you of, or what part of it stayed with you the most. Because somewhere, right now, another parent is standing in the rain, terrified after making an impossible choice, believing they are alone. And sometimes, all it takes to change everything is being seen by someone who finally decides to knock on the door.